are here with some interesting stuff today.
Yeah.
A little interesting. As you've seen from the topic, Governor Abbott in Texas has opened up 100%. Now, I don't agree with it. I don't think that we're ready. But we're going to do what we can do on the legal side to help you,
Protect your family.
prepare for this new.
And he lifted the mask mandate.
Yes.
That's the part that's really like.
Opened it 100% and lifted the mask. Like, what?
That's the kicker.
I'm just trying to figure out what the logic is on that because I don't know what he didn't put up. Okay, these are the statistics right now. This is why we're able to open up 100% and lift masks. I mean, I don't see how it relates to the pandemic and what's going on. I think it's just personal preference. I don't think it has anything to do. Like, I don't think he took that into consideration, in my opinion. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
We're here now. We're here, and we are going to offer legal tips to help protect you and your families in the event that we find ourselves where we were last year.
Like people getting sick, people unexpectedly passing away, those things happening. We hope that it doesn't happen again, but we were unprepared. And I say we as a people were unprepared last year around the same exact time. So we're going to do what we can to reverse that.
Right.
Okay, so today what we are talking about is, as you know, our firm, we do estate planning, we do probate here, and that's a big part of our practice, and we've been doing that for a few years, a lot of years, not a few years, a lot of years. And so lately, we have been seeing, cases come in where people just don't have their wills. Somebody passed away, and the person who passed away did not have a will, and it's certain people that you probably wouldn't even expect to have wills. People actually with a little bit of wealth and have some assets, and definitely people who should know about estate planning. These people are coming in, their families are coming in with, that person passing away, and there being absolutely no estate planning done whatsoever. So we've already had a video about estate planning and a little bit about for business owners and what you can do to protect your business. But now we're talking about the individual and what can we do for the individual family. Okay. There's something, and we practice law in Texas and in California. We're going to talk about Texas today, and then you can look up your state and see what is required for what we call a holographic will in Texas.
Okay.
So now, what is a holographic will? Let's celebrate. What is that? Sounds fun. I don't know anything about a will and fun. I don't think those two go together. I'm not sure. I'm sorry about that, but yeah.
Okay. A holographic will is simply a will written in your handwriting. In Texas, there are requirements for that, and so today we're just going to cover those requirements and then give you that little bonus tip on how to save a little bit of money in the event that something happens and you have to actually go and probate that holographic will. So
now, and before we go into the specifics of a holographic will, how does that relate to the pandemic? Like, what is it? What do you, in your mind, like how do you see it? Because I know I see it a certain way, but how do you make the connection between having a holographic will, a will only in your handwriting, and what's going on with the pandemic?
So for me, I would say a holographic will is like an emergency situation, right? So you maybe you don't have access to an attorney right now, or you don't have the means to afford an attorney. So it's one of those things where we're in a pandemic, so that's an emergency. We're all in a state of panic, so let's take some precautions that we can, or let's educate individuals about the precautions that they can take just right in their household with their family. And it's something that everyone in the family can participate in doing, because you all can have your own holographic wills, mom, dad, grandparents, siblings, everyone.
Right. And as long as you're over the age of 18. You can make a will.
Make your holographic will. So for me, I equate holographic will and pandemic to emergency.
Yes.
And then, of course, at a given time when you are able to contact an attorney or speak with an attorney, by all means do so.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I actually don't really have anything to add to it because I think the same exact way. So yeah, emergency situations calls for emergency measures, and you know, this is one of them. One of the measures you can take. Now, as Brittany said, a holographic will is a will written wholly in your handwriting. Under Texas law, those are valid. Okay, but what you have to, I've seen plenty of holographic wills come through my office to probate, and some of them are able to be probated, and some of them are not able to be probated because some people will get a will that is a form will,
Yeah.
and then they'll have lines on it about, you know, where you have to write in your wishes and what you want and who you want to appoint as an executive of your estate and all that, and they write it in with their hand. Like their handwriting, and the other part is typed. That is not a valid will. You cannot do a will like that in Texas. It will not be a valid will. It has to be entirely in your handwriting, and it's either going to be all typewritten or it's going to be all in your handwriting. And there's rules and that apply to each type of will under Texas law to make it a valid will. So we're just going to focus in on the holographic part. So make sure wholly in handwriting means from top to bottom. No typewritten, no one else's handwriting. Don't ask anyone to write it for you and then you sign it. It just won't work like that. Everything has to be yours. And it has to be your handwriting and your signature. Okay? Yes. So you, in a will, you can say, it can be as simple as, if I pass away, I leave all my assets to my kids.
Okay, key point. You started off by saying, if I pass away.
Yes.
That is a requirement. It has to show or make an expression of at your death. This is what you want to happen. So as step one is, you want to make sure it's entirely in your handwriting. Step two, you always want to start off with, if I pass away at my time of death. You just have to reference that this would be take effect at your death.
And that is a very important part because we recently had a situation, just that I remember seeing a will, and the person asked me, is this a valid will? You know, is this a will? I think it was another attorney who asked me, is this a will? They don't do probate, and they asked me that, and I'm like, no, because it's a letter. It's a letter. Dear diary.
Yeah, that won't cut it for the house.
I want my kids to have all of my assets, and I want this person to run my business. But it's not saying at what time. It's just saying I want them to do that. And it's very important that you have that what's called testamentary intent in your holographic will. Okay, so as Brittany said, you have to do it exactly like that. You have to have those words in it. It's very important. So that will could not be probated. Yeah, that was terrible.
It was a letter.
It was a letter. So that's number one. Okay, number two, designate your beneficiaries.
Yes.
Who do you want to have your assets? And you could, you know, like I said, it can be as simple as I want all of my assets to go to my children or my husband. Or it can be, I want my car to go to Sally, I want my house to go to Jim, I want my money and bank account ending in whatever number to go to this person. You know, you can make it as detailed or as general as you want, but just make sure that you're writing down your wishes.
And you are giving these things to someone, your beneficiary. You don't want to just write down all the things you own and say, you know, at my death, I want all of this to be disposed of.
Right.
Well, to who?
To who?
So
yeah.
That beneficiary is a requirement to actually gift your things to someone.
And it needs to be a person, a business, you know, some type of corporation, charity. You know, it can't be your dog. And I'm not even being funny. I mean,
no, because these things happen.
These things do happen where people believe that they can leave their estate to their pet, and that you cannot do that. Not in Texas.
No.
Okay, so make sure that you designate a real live person, company, some type of entity, charity, church. You know, it has to be a live, breathing, living. I mean, even though a pet is, I'm not saying that it's not, but it has to be person, business, corporation. Okay, leave it at that. All right, and so so that's number 3, right? Go ahead and designate your beneficiary.
So tell me this. now that if I were to create a holographic will and I, stated at my death, I want my car to go to Jane, who's going to give Jane my car?
Well, that brings me to the next point. Designate a person to be over your entire estate. It can be one of the beneficiaries that you trust that are an adult. It has to be an adult beneficiary. That's going to be over your estate, and that's called the executor of your estate. It could be a third party that you did not mention in your will as a beneficiary, someone that you trust to distribute all of your assets to the proper people according to your wishes. But it has to be, and it can also be a corporation. It could be people designate, banks and things like that. At some time, most time you're going to come to an attorney if you want to do that because there's a proper way to do that. But just let me know that is an option. So you want to make sure that you designate a person that you trust, that even though they may not be getting that particular asset or any assets, they may not be getting anything from your will, but they may not be getting all the assets in your estate. You trust that they're going to give the assets to who you have designated in your will to give them. Okay, so make sure you trust that person, and that would be the person who would give Brittany the car. That would be the person who makes sure all of your expenses and debts and everything are paid that you may leave behind, and then distribute all the assets to all the beneficiaries, not just to one person. It would be for the whole entire estate. Okay. So definitely choose someone that you trust and that you know will do what you desire to have done. Okay?
Okay. So what if I were to, or should I get this holographic will notarized?
No. Under Texas law, you do not have to get the will notarized. Okay? But we're going to let you in on a little secret. If you're at home right now and you're starting to write your will as you're watching this video, which I recommend, I highly recommend that. Just, go through this.
Have all the checkpoints right in front of you.
Yeah, you have them right here. We're telling you right now. But a little secret is if you go ahead and notarize it, it can't be, I won't say it can't be contested. It's very unlikely for your will to be contested because even though you wrote the will in your handwriting, you signed it, in your signature, you designate your beneficiaries, you put a person to be over your entire estate, someone still could come back and say, hey, she didn't write that will. He didn't write that will. That's not her handwriting. That's not his handwriting. And I've seen that with a lot of holographic wills when people want to contest those wills. And some people may contest the fact that the person was even, whoever drafted the will, was even able to make a will. Maybe they were in the hospital and they, were under the effect of medication, or they were in a coma. This is some of the things that people can argue. And they say, well, no, they didn't know what they were doing when they did that will. Throw this will out. Well, what a notary could do is verify. It can verify and validate your signature and your handwriting on that will. Because if you're going to a notary, most times the notary has a book and they write it down. They put your driver's license number in there. They take a copy of your driver's license and say, I notarized this document for this person on this day. So that will help your family. The people who are trying to get the will to, be a valid will and go through the probate process to make sure everything goes according to your wishes, that can be very helpful to them and to make their process a little bit easier in the event someone tries to come and contest it. Okay? It's not required on a holographic will. Remember, we're only talking about holographic wills in Texas. Okay? Holographic means wholly in your handwriting. All right, if we're talking about a non-holographic will, that's a whole other video because there are other requirements, that have to be met in order for the will to be valid that are not the same as holographic wills. Right. Okay.
So the notary is just a safety precaution that you can take to kind of foolproof your holographic will. So although you may not have access or the means to reach an attorney right now, you could possibly have a notary in your neighborhood or your church or someone that that can notarize and kind of give you some extra security on that holographic will.
Right. And to be honest, that's it in a nutshell.
Oh, you have to sign it.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to sign it.
Don't
forget to sign it and date it. don't forget to sign it and date it. Yes, we cannot forget that part. You cannot just write it down and not sign it.
You have to sign it.
Yes, because
And
that
I would
is very
advise you to
important.
even print your name and then sign above your name. Like
Yes.
that's your name, so no one can say, oh, well, this isn't. No, that's your name.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's so important. Very. I've been saying that the whole time, but we never really made it as a step. It's a
Right,
step.
it's a step that you have to sign it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're going to go to a notary, they're going to make you sign it. But if you don't go to a notary, you have to remember to sign your will. Don't just say, because I can clearly see someone writing their will down right now, just saying, oh, I want this to go to Charlie, I want this to go to Tim,
Fold
and
it up.
fold it up and put it in the drawer and never sign it. Yeah, that won't be a holographic will. Your family will not be able to use that will to carry out your wishes.
Right.
Okay. So one other thing, and this is not a step, but this is just kind of to give a little bit of information on what what you do with the will, like that, what your family would be doing with the will. Because if we're talking to the person that's drafting the will right now, this won't be your issue, right? Once you've passed away, it will be your family's issue. So you got to always think about what are you leaving behind for your family, not just your assets, but what kind of problems are you leaving behind for your family. And if you have small children, it's something that you need to think about more often than not. When you have adult children, I'm not saying make it harder for them, but it's easier for them to kind of deal with situations rather than a minor child who has to go and get a guardian or an executor of the state, or they have to get somebody who can act on pass away. So you want to make sure you always think about, okay, what status, where am I at now? If something were to happen to me today, are my affairs in order? Okay? And part of your affairs being in order is having your will done. Your family is the one that has to go to the court and probate it. If you don't have a will, and I think we touched on this with the businesses, but if you don't have a will, the process is very, very burdensome, okay, for your family. And we can tell you that from firsthand experience and as being attorneys, that it's not a fun process for your family to have to go through, period. I mean, when you pass away, they're already going to be grieving, right? If you're not thinking about yourself, think about the people that you're leaving behind.
Now is the time more than ever, given the pandemic and the state of our nation.
Yes. So we are urging everyone watching this video to go home, or if you're at work right now, when you get home, or even if you're at work and you're not busy on a break, get a piece of paper, start preparing to get that will done. And I'm always going to say it's best to go to an attorney to get it done. I'm not going to ever say don't go to an attorney to get your will done. But if you haven't done it today, if you don't have a will today and you're not making an appointment with an attorney today, go ahead and do your will. It's as simple as that. In Texas. In other states, we want you to go ahead and look up the requirements for a handwritten will in your particular state. Okay? So just remember, every state is different.
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video, because this is very helpful information, and you don't want to forget a step when you're talking to your friends or family. So just go ahead and refer them over to the video so that they can take their notes and start writing their holographic will.